Okay, so episode 15 of the PI Filmmaker podcast. This is being recorded a few hours after listening to episode 14 with Guillermo del Toro. Not with Guillermo del Toro, but about Guillermo del Toro. And I was discussing some of the issues in terms of my vocal delivery and how I was struggling to juggle multiple things when recording with my partner Miranda, and I eventually said, okay, come on the podcast and let's do a chat, because when we were discussing, Miranda said you say like and interesting a lot, and I explained that what it was I was becoming overwhelmed when recording monologues because I've got a number of things on the screen. I've got Audacity recording my voice, I've got a Word document that I'm referring to for notes, I've got the microphone right in front of me, and you're trying to remember everything that you're trying to discuss. And I said, usually it would be a lot easier for me if I was just sat down and someone was recording my voice, and I wouldn't be so self-conscious about this Audacity screen right in front of me and the Word document right in front of me. So I was very aware last week that I said interesting a lot, and once Miranda pointed it out, I said, well, come on the podcast and let's just have a chat about filmmaking. So that's what we're going to do right now. We've got Miranda Benjamin, my partner, actor, producer.
Hello.
See, it's not so easy once you're on the podcast.
No, it's not. As soon as you said let's get the mics, I was like, oh crap. Yeah, it's pretty daunting when you know that you're being recorded, but let's see what happens.
Okay, so Miranda, do you want to talk to me about your history as a performer? Because before you were a film producer of things like Notion and Blurred Lines, you were, well, you still are, you're an actor, but do you want to talk to me about your history as a performer?
Yeah. Okay, so I first started performing. I was always into kind of amateur dramatics and things like that at school and Sunday school, and you know, my mum was very religious, so we always used to go and be involved with productions like that. But yeah, very much it was my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law. He was a performer. He was an actor, director, had dabbled in dance as well, had worked with some amazing people, had worked, you know, in various different theatres across England and Europe, and was such a great orator. And he was always talking to me about Shakespeare and performing and all of these various different trips that he'd been on and tours and what it was like in the old days of rep. But yeah, I think when I was younger, I was very, very shy, I struggled with kind of social interactions. I always felt like I was on the outside of groups, and I had friends and I had, you know, a few close friends, but I didn't have loads and loads of friends. And I was always watching people. I was always fascinated by how people kind of interacted. And I found that more often than not, I felt most comfortable when I had a script, when there was something there for me to say, because I wasn't being kind of judged by what I was saying on the spot. And it just felt like a really good way of being able to kind of express myself. I very much looked up to John, and him being this great orator and so good at telling stories and telling me all these tales of travel and who he'd worked with and things like that. And I'd just sit in awe and be like, oh, I'd love to be able to do that. So that's, from a young age, I very much wanted to be an actor, to be a performer, to be a creative.
Okay, so then you did acting at college, but then let's just skip college, because I don't think college really counts. Like, let's get towards university. So there was a few options for you. What were the things that you were considering when you were considering picking a school to study acting?
Yeah, I did. I would have loved to have gone to, say, RADA or one of the big ones.
Like Johnny Byram?
Like Johnny Byram, yeah. When I heard he'd gone to RADA, I was like, damn it. No, but saying that, I said I'd love to have gone. I didn't even apply. I applied for one, which was LIPA in Liverpool, and the rest that I applied to were universities, and they were all kind of local It wasn't this idea of, I think I was a bit nervous about moving away. Even though I wanted to live away from home, I knew I wanted to kind of get student digs. I don't know, I was a bit nervous about moving all the way to London because I came from a family that the furthest we'd ever been was Wales. You know, it wasn't really I had these aspirations to travel, but I hadn't really done that. So yeah, I applied to LIPA, and then the other ones were universities. And I didn't get into LIPA.
No.
Oh, I did apply to Arden as well, actually. That was the northern one.
You want to talk about
Manchester.
your audition for one of those places? Was it LIPA?
No, the Arden one. Yeah, that was quite... They had 3 people on the panel, and I remember going in and I was performing a piece that was something that I'd written myself, and I was quite confident in the piece, but one of the judges, so to speak, they got up in the middle of the performance and they turned around and went and stood at the window and started looking out. I thought, he's doing that to put me off. What a bastard. But I thought, no, fine. So I just carried on and carried on with the performance of it. And I didn't let it break my my concentration. Obviously, you notice it because it's like, damn, you know, I want to impress these people. And yeah, I carried on. And then they asked me a question.
Here's the thing, right? What you probably won't remember who that is.
No.
But let's say that you were making a film, right? I'm shooting a scene with whoever. Let's say it's Seth. I get up from behind the camera. I walk over to the window. It's dickish.
Yeah.
I don't care about this. Oh, you need to be able to perform when people are distracting you.
I know. I don't know whether he was trying to challenge me and to say, you know, why am I interested in this? But I mean, to be honest, it was actually quite a personal piece. It was about something that I'd gone through as a child, and I'd flipped it. You know, I was bullied quite badly when I was at high school, and it was about this character that had been bullied, and then she kind of she fought
So he thought the best way of responding to a monologue about bullying was to just walk off and not listen.
Well,
I was watching this week this clip of Tarantino on a Q&A, and he said he's not in Video Village when he's directing. Say if we're doing a scene right now like this, he's right by the camera. I mean, I shoot myself, so I'm always by the camera, right intimately with the actors. He's like, that's what the actor needs to be with that person and showing that this is right or this is wrong, not walking off by the window. When you first told me that story, I just thought it's just pretentious bollocks.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what his intention was, but it was a little bit off-putting. But then I saw it as a bit of a challenge, really, and I just kind of thought, well, fine, I'll try and rise above it, rather.
Yeah.
And I'll just carry on.
Now he's sat on a fat pension. So you eventually settled on University of Salford, which is just down the road.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about your education there, what you learned, what you didn't learn? I mean, let's be honest, you said you thought they blagged you a little bit.
I did, yeah, because I remember on the induction they were saying, oh, we're going to be doing like 24 productions a year, and you know, you're going to be working on all of these different scripts. And I thought, brilliant, that is exactly what I want. I want to learn about all these different plays, you know, be exposed to all of this, right, in the history of theatre. I was very much fascinated by theatre, more so than screen. I was a bit interested in screen, but theatre had always been the main interest. And yeah, when I came to it, it was just very much every module. I mean, I did enjoy the modules that I did, and they did quite a wide range of subjects. And I did get to do like the history of theatre and all of that. But when it came down to the productions, it was like, oh yeah, you're going to do this for the first act, and then you would do like the play, but
you do a section of a play.
Yeah, so I wouldn't see the whole character through the whole play. I would do like the first act of this character, and then someone else would take over and do the other bit, or you would work on and you just do 2 scenes from it. It's like, well, that's great.
It's great for the university because everyone gets ticked through, right? Because we can tick Miranda off against this module, we can tick whoever, I don't know, Zendaya off against whoever the actor happens
Zendaya
to be.
wasn't there.
No, I know, but do you know, it was the first famous actor that came to my mind. But it's you can see how like
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
That serves the university rather than serves the person developing their skills, doesn't it?
And they had missold it because I wasn't doing 21 plays or...
You're very diplomatic, whereas me and Terry are a bit more like, that ain't good enough.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you did the course, but I think it'd be fair to say that you were kind of losing interest as well because of...
There were a few people that... Because obviously it depends who you're working with, and there were some times that I was working with really good people, but then there were other times where you were in groups that you were with people...
Group work.
Yeah.
Go on.
Weren't really that engaged, and obviously if you're the one that's kind of pulling that along, it gets really frustrating. But then at the same time, I did get a bit frustrated with it, and I will say that, you know, in the second year, my interest, I was blagging my way through because I knew I could as well. I knew I could actually do, because I know I'd learned my lines when it came to the performance.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we will. No, when it came to doing the performance, I knew I'd be there for the rehearsals, I'd do everything that I needed to do, I'd be there for the performance, and I'd hold my own. But when it came to actually graduating, the third year, I kind of thought, no, I've gone off the rails a little bit. My second year, I was working, I was earning a very good wage. And I was just thinking, I don't feel like I'm getting as much out of this course that I thought I would get and that I wanted to get. So I was kind of eager to finish so I could get out and start. I had like a plan of all of these different things. I want to be applying for work and seeing what I can do, because I was eager. And I felt a little bit frustrated by the course itself. But then, yeah, the third year I thought, well, I'm here. I have spent money on it. I do want to make sure that I come out with a good grade as well. You know, it was important to me. So I kind of, you know, stopped doing the job and focused on that. And yeah, I was one of 3 people in the year to get first. So I was happy with that.
Do you want to talk about your showcase? Because last week when you listened to the... No, it was like... We're recording this the day of Del Toro. So last Friday was Johnny Byram.
Yeah.
You said, oh my God, I can't believe he had the same experience.
I know there was a few stories when Johnny was talking, when he talks about how he's felt about going into auditions and being a little bit disillusioned with the acting as a business now, and the feelings that kind of come with that. But also, yeah, very much the experience of like corpsing on stage, and it happened for me for my showcase. I did the London one, which was absolutely fine, and then an agent had contacted me and said that they were interested in talking to me. So I went to meet with them and had a bit of a chat. I think they were blagging me, to be honest, because he said something about Bond. I was like, yeah, whatever. I know.
As in James Bond?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And I was like, yeah, that would be very nice, but I don't think... I knew that they were... Well, not me playing Bond.
No, I know that, but it's but like, what year would that be? 2001?
3. I graduated in 2003.
So what Bond film was then?
I have no idea.
No, I know, because if Die Another Day was around about 2002, they were relaunching Casino Royale in 2006.
Right.
So they're just chatting shit.
Well, yeah, I kind of gathered that anyway.
No, I know you did, but it's like, why do the arts attract these bullshitters? Like, we're doing Bond. Like, you're not doing Bond, because the chances are when Bond's being made, it's going to be Eva Green, who's already got a platform. It's bullshit.
I know. But anyway, so I'd done that showcase.
No wonder you had a panic attack. You think you're going to be Eva Green in Casino Royale? You're not going to be Vesper. You're not going to be Vesper. I'm sorry to hit you with this. She'd already been in famous films. Go on.
That's all right. No, it was, to be honest, it was the Manchester one that I really wanted to impress in. It was that one, because obviously this is my home. Yeah. And I'd been at my sister's the night before, and I'd gone in, and I was just, it was a piece. I'd actually performed the whole play, and it was the whole play. It was one of my final pieces.
What was the...
It was Modern Dance for Beginners.
Okay.
Sarah Phelps. And it was a great role, and I still remember it to this day. I remember the flipping monologue that I did. But yeah, I started, and then I just remember I got to the third line, and my mind just went blank. and everything just seemed to slow down. And then I felt like my vision was getting smaller. I was getting hotter and hotter. I could feel my cheeks start to burn. I was like, oh my God, right, okay, just calm down. You know this, just relax.
It was like you were giving feedback to students. That's what I experienced.
It was horrific because you just feel everyone's eyes on you, and there's a spotlight on you. It was just me on the stage. So I thought, you're all right. So I tried to stay in character, took a swig of my wine, my stage, glass. And then I carried on and I did exactly the same 3 lines, and I stopped at exactly the same point. I was like, I can't believe this. And I just wanted to run off the stage. It felt awful. I was like, no, you're not doing this. You're going to get through it. It's fine. Breathe. And I started again, and I carried on. And I got through, and I got like a big cheer at the end of it. But I felt horrific. The end of that day, we all went to a bar. It was what is the Wetherspoons in the Printworks now. And I remember crying my eyes out in the toilet for about 2 hours. It just felt horrific because I thought, I've ruined it. But it's
crazy how important those things feel at the time.
Yeah.
But now it's like...
No, I know.
It's like, it doesn't matter.
I know, but I think for a long time, because my friend, one of the other girls that got A first, a good friend, and she was lovely. I lived with her in the 2nd and 3rd year at uni. From that showcase, Jane Hollywood was there.
Okay.
And she saw...
So this is, for the listeners, do you want to explain who that is?
Yeah, she's an agent up north, but she's a very good, well-connected agent. And she saw Sam in that showcase, and she signed her, and she literally said to her that week, I've seen a casting, I want to put you forward. And it was for a role in Shameless, and she was in it, and she was in it for like 4 series or something. Wow. So she did like her very first audition that she went for, and to be fair, she was great in that. I wouldn't have been right for it, but it is easy for you as an actor when you're getting knocked back time after time after time to think,
so what was that like after university? Like, what was the plan of action? So you graduate, then what?
I was just keen to kind of get working, really, get any jobs that I could, because I just wanted to be out there, and I thought, well, I just want to work. I want to work on different scripts. I want to work with different directors. I want to learn that craft of being able to, do the same thing day in, day out. And I did. I got work within I worked at a bar for a little bit, but I think it was about 4 months. And I got in with a company, and I was touring around Scotland and Wales and England.
So when you say touring, what are we talking about here?
They were like, to be fair, they were small scale theatres, not big theatres.
But shows?
And yeah, it was like classical theatre stories.
So what would we be?
The first one was Alice in Wonderland.
Okay, Alice in Wonderland.
And it was a multi-role, so I was playing the Queen of Hearts, Caterpillar, Governess, and Cheshire Cat, which was a puppet. So it was cool because you were very active. It flew by. You were doing lots. You were doing all the stage management stuff as well. You were changing the sets. You were doing the get-ins, the get-outs. There were long days. Sometimes you were up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You were travelling to your venue. You're doing your set-up, doing 1 or 2 performances, and then you were packing all up, going over, doing somewhere else. And it was a real good... it was a great training because you were doing... That was like... My first one was a 6-month tour. And for 6 months doing the same show, sometimes 3 times a day, like 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And then when you weren't actually doing that, you were travelling. You were travelling. I could be travelling from Scotland to flipping Blackpool or, Birmingham or Eastbourne, or you could be going. And they did. They say they tried to make it as close together as possible, but sometimes your day off was spent in the van.
I'd forgotten about this, but there was another sort of anxiety mission on Alice in Wonderland, wasn't there?
Yeah, there
was. So I'd confused it. You always talk about Alice in Wonderland being the one.
Yeah, that
so it was this show.
It was. Again, I'd done it. I'd been performing for It was probably 3 or 4 months that I'd been doing the show, so I obviously
Had you read the
knew
script?
I'd read it quite a few times.
Yeah.
No, I'd performed it a huge amount of times. I was off script, first couple of days.
Off book?
Off book. No, I knew it inside out, but it was the height of summer. I was in the caterpillar costume because it was a full skin costume. So for those that haven't kind of worked in that, it's like a full costume with a mask on and everything. And I was in front of 500 kids and obviously numerous adults as well. It was so hot, and I just remember feeling really hot and sick and thinking, oh my word, my vision's going. I don't know what I'm doing. What I don't know what scene's next, what scene is next. I remember gripping on to the girl that was playing Alice because I thought I was going to fall over in this costume. And I was just sweating. I felt like I was going to be physically sick. And then we kind of went through the scene, and then I went off stage, and we always kept a script in the bottom drawer of, one of the things that kept all the gaffer tape and various different things, for fixing costumes and stuff. I remember pulling it out and going, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next. And I was having this proper panic attack where I was hyperventilating. I felt like I just wanted to run. I didn't know what scene was next. I didn't know what I was going to say. And it was just that mental kind of circular horror of saying, I've got another 45 minutes where I've got to perform. I can't let all these people down. They're literally right at the other side of these, flats. And
Didn't another actor come out and try and help?
No, not to be honest, they couldn't because we all had our jobs to do. There was only like 5 in the cast.
Right.
So when you weren't on stage, you were either getting
Prepping
changed,
for the next bit.
you were preparing props that needed to go on.
It's like you're on your own.
Yeah, you really were. Like there were times where I had to kind of be another character and say something on a mic that I wasn't on stage. The audience couldn't see me, but I was still doing that, or I was doing sound effects or things like that. So, yeah, it was very much... I remember I was doing the performance of Cheshire Cat, which was a puppet through the hole. And I kept the script with me just for safety because I was like, I'm so scared that I'm going to fuck this up. It was horrific.
Yeah.
And then I managed to get through it, but it was the worst hour of my life.
Was it?
Well, that's a bit
not of your
extreme.
life.
No, of my performing life.
It was hard.
It was awful. It was awful. And then it really did shake my confidence. Like Johnny was saying, because you feel like, I don't want to be in that position again. I don't want to feel like that.
I respect Johnny for coming on and saying that last week, because I think I watched so many, you see these people doing online YouTube chats about performing and acting on screen, and you never hear about that side. Well, you might do. I rarely hear about it. And I respected that Johnny was willing to come on and talk like you have just then and say, no, it ain't all plain sailing.
Oh, it's not. It's awful.
Sometimes
when
it can be really
happens,
difficult.
It is.
And this is why,
you're
to
well
me,
aware.
your prep is so important because, of course, you've got to know what you're going to be doing.
I don't know how someone could not want to do that. And I've talked to various different performers, and the ones that are kind of on our side of things that really want to do the best and are into their prep. I think maybe they've had that fear, or it means so much to them they don't want to be in that position, because it's like, I never want to be in a position where I don't feel like I've done enough, because then you're just inviting that horror.
Well, I mean,
it is awful.
one of the things that we were chatting about, because this has been a total impromptu chat, because we were talking about Del Toro, and whilst Del Toro in his episode, like he was an actual guest, in that episode, he was talking about performers and like giving very clear direction. Just earlier today, you said you nearly sent me a post from an acting group, but you didn't because you said it'd rile me.
Yeah.
But go on, do you want to talk to me about that and then give me an opinion on that? Because you said the comments were quite interesting.
They weren't interesting, they were infuriating.
Go on, well, what
to
was
be
it?
fair, there was a writer that had written, a playwright, and he'd said, he posted it to a group of actors and he was saying, I'm just wanting to know, I've noticed that I've written quite a few plays, and when we get to the stage where it's going to a read through, it's almost like the actors aren't reading the stage directions, or if I've said start shouting, or you know, I've written something in italics for emphasis, or I've written something in capital letters for shouting, it's almost like they're not reading that, or they're just ignoring it. Do you find it an insult, or do you even read them? And there were so many comments like, oh darling, you really need to treat your actors with some respect. You know, they are craftsmen, and they know exactly what to do with your script. And I just thought, how fucking arrogant. You know, this person has written, they're the one that sat down and has written this script. And
they're actually after some genuine feedback as well, and some genuine responses.
They've noticed, they're like, I've put time and effort into thinking about what these characters are doing, why they're doing it, and I've given those clues. And yeah, you don't, it's not really, it's not feasible for you to write for every single line said like this, said like this. But then at the same time, you would think that if they've taken the time to put some element of direction in there, there is a reason for that. And me as an actor, if I'm going through a script, I would read all of those things and I'd say, right, okay, they do this at this point, they do this at this point. Why do they do that? What is it about that point that's important? And then you can create that backstory if that's helpful to you. You know, I do find it helpful to me. I like to create a story for my character, but that's for me. That's for my understanding of what this character is doing, why they're doing it. That's nothing to do.
I watched a great interview with Matt Damon just yesterday. And we'll get back to that. But Matt Damon he said he was on set of Saving Private Ryan, and there was this really important scene, emotional scene. They did a couple of takes, and then Spielberg was like, right, we're going to move over here now. And Matt Damon walked over to him. I was like, whoa, maybe we can do a couple more takes? I feel like we've not really got there. And Spielberg said, listen, I could spend another couple of hours doing this and I might get 10% further. Or I could get this extra shot that will help tell the story and really improve the film. And Matt Damon said he was really upset, and he said, like, there's this other moment where everyone was talking about, okay, maybe I do this because of this, and Spielberg said, great, but it happens over there. i.e., like, we're not going to sit having these chats when we've got to move.
Yeah.
It's happening over there. And he said, at first he was like really insulted by that, like, but after he was like, no, that is right. We're here, we're telling a story, and like the process cannot be getting in the way of the budget, the shooting schedule, all these other elements that are happening. The clock's ticking.
Well, I mean, it's obviously on big budget projects, you know, they're still up against the clock, and it is a huge amount of money per day. But even in regards to indie film, it is very much, you've got a certain amount of time. You know, you can't be having hour-long discussions as to why my character's doing something. No. If you've got a question, fair enough, fire it off to the director beforehand. If you know, if you feel like you can't quite understand why something is happening, so you can get that clarification. But you haven't got time. You haven't got time, and you know, when you're setting out the schedule for filming, there's so much that needs to be done. And when you're considering all the different setups and things like that, it's like, okay, if we talk for half an hour about this, we've just wasted that amount of time that we needed to set up that next shot. So are we going to sacrifice another shot, or are we going to get going with this?
Exactly. So with this post, people were just generally chopping down this person.
The majority of them were saying...
But you actually said,
acting is a craft.
You looked at some of these people and you're like, who the fuck are these people?
Well, exactly. I just thought, it's not like, it's not Daniel Day-Lewis here.
Yeah.
It's not,
In the comment section,
yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis, Viggo Mortensen, Robert De Niro. Yeah. Listen, this is a craft.
But that's the thing. They wouldn't say something like that.
No.
They acknowledge the art of script writing. It's like the art of acting isn't above every other art. It's not like and it's frustrating to be an actor, because at times like that I completely disagree with other people. And yeah, obviously I think a lot of actors do struggle with they want to be accepted. They want to be acknowledged and appreciated. And believe me, I get it. You know, I think a lot of people.
Here's
are
the thing,
drawn
all
to
right,
that.
with that. Imagine if Steve Wyatt spent them 4 days on that shoot wanting reassurances from me and all these, oh, Mark, but why is this a close-up? But Mark, maybe this is a wide shot. It's like, no, this is the plan, Steve. And yet, let's be right about it. He's going to be shooting the thing that's going to be what we see.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course you have them conversations with Steve, but I just think sometimes like this bastardisation, Bresson talks about it all the time, this bastardisation of cinema through theatre.
Yeah.
We're going to bring theatre into cinema.
It's a different medium.
It's
completely.
a totally different medium. Do you want to talk to me about... That's not very professional.
Sorry.
Do you want to talk to me about how... I already know the answer. This is called a rhetorical question. How screen acting was taught at university?
It wasn't really. No, that's a big thing. And in fairness, though, there were 2 modules that were accessible: screen acting and advanced screen acting. And you could only take the advanced screen acting if you took the screen acting in the first one.
But
But I did get one in the first year where we did. It was like a generic one, and I didn't mind that at all.
When you say you didn't mind it, what were they saying? What were they teaching?
The very first lesson was pretty good, actually. They did have a camera there. No,
go on.
But it does make a difference because we watched it back afterwards.
Yeah,
and it's different, you performing, thinking that it's for screen, but then when you actually see it on screen, and it was the first time that I'd seen myself on screen, and I knew there was a huge difference because, in fairness, John, who'd introduced me to acting, he was very much into film. He was like a film buff. He knew all kinds of details about every film that had ever been made. But obviously he had this knowledge of theatre as well, so he could be very grandiose and theatrical. But then he would always talk about the major differences between that and screen acting, and he would say, you think it and it flashes across the eyes. You don't do it, it's about thinking it. If you show it, it's too much, it's too big. It's not, you don't want to be gesticulating.
Yeah. The best thing I've seen on this is the Michael Caine masterclass and the book that he's written. I don't know why that's not essential reading for every drama school across the country, that book, the Michael Caine book. It's like
I don't think a lot of them actually focus on screen, though. The majority is theatre.
Yeah, because what we want to be marking, we want to see most acting. So if we
it's
see
like the
most acting, we can
GCSE,
say, tick, there's definitely, it ain't Miranda, it's someone else, so tick. Yeah. It's like, but on screen, that doesn't fly. So basically, the top and bottom of it is, there wasn't a huge amount of teaching.
No. And I can't say anything for the ones that were, the other couple of modules, because I didn't do them.
So you did some time doing some theatre.
Yeah.
You did some TIE, which is theatre in education. You then had a number of years out, really, because you were raising children, things like that. When you came back to, you're skipping a load of things here.
No, it's all right.
We come back to creativity and acting and all these things. Once you've got children to a certain age, when was the plan of action?
Well, to be honest, I struggled when I came out of acting. I did, because that had always been my identity, really. And when I came away from that, I felt like I'd lost who I was. So I was although I was adamant that I wanted to spend time with my kids and bring them up for their childhood and be there for them. At the same time, I was eager that I hadn't finished with a career. I felt frustrated that I hadn't probably achieved what I'd hoped to achieve before I'd started a family.
Well, let's think about that, right? What does achievement look like? What were you hoping for?
I think for me, back then, I would have appreciated tackling more classic scripts, having done a few more of the classic big roles, the younger roles that I didn't feel like I got to get my teeth into. And once you get past a certain age, as a, well, not just as a woman, you know, as a man as well, if you get to a 60-year-old, unless you're Ian McKellen, you're not going to play Hamlet, are you? And there's a famous quote in the film, isn't there? There comes a time in any man's life when he realises he will never play the dame.
Dame.
Dame, yeah.
Dame.
Dame. Yeah,
Fuck the line. What the fuck?
You can still play the dame, maybe.
Yeah, you can play a dame. No, the dame. What film's that?
It's With Nail and I.
Oh, okay, of course, yeah.
Richard Griffiths.
So you come back to acting, raise some kids for a few years, you come back to acting, you do some fringe theatre.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about
that? Yeah, okay. So I did Robots of Death.
Robots of Death.
Yeah. It was only a small role, but I was happy to be doing that because obviously I'd not done anything for 4 years. I mean, it was kind of like very sporadic. You'd go in and do a rehearsal. It was something that I'd never done before, like fringe, where you were doing dribs and drabs of rehearsals and you'd do like 2 hours here or 3 hours there. And whenever I'd done rehearsals before, it had always been like a proper solid block. You'd go in and you'd focus on that. But then we did the shows and yeah, it was fine. It was good. But I kind of realised that it was a huge amount of preparation time, obviously, for all of the rehearsals and stuff. And then you'd do like 3 or 4 performances and that was it. So I kind of started thinking, maybe now that I've got the kids, it's not like I'm going to be going off on tours, doing 6 months, 3 months. I know some people do that, and that's great if you can do that, but I didn't feel like I would be comfortable doing that. So I thought, well, maybe I could transition and get into doing some screen work, but I hadn't really done much screen stuff, so I thought, okay, well, I should probably just get on Mandy or Casting Call Pro, as it was back then, and see if I can get in some, you know, short films, some student productions, some... you know, small budget things.
Okay, so while we're here, I've stolen a few of your student filmmaking stories from this period, haven't I? Do you want to talk to me? And don't sugarcoat it. Don't be diplomatic. Say what happened.
Well, there's been a few. There was one which I did actually really enjoy, and they were very good. They were from Salford, and they'd booked out this lodge in the Lake District, and they were saying that it was like a witch type theme, and they seemed like really dedicated. They'd contacted me and been very professional throughout. They were going to do it all by candlelight, and they weren't going to have any fake light, so it would be natural light or candlelight. And they seemed like they had a really good vision. They were all very enthusiastic. And so, yeah, I did that one, and I had a really good time on it. But I did do quite a few others. There was another one where I was doing scenes from Romeo and Juliet, and it was insane. It was like we were filming in this student dorm. They had me pretending that I was Juliet's mother coming down the student staircase, and then I was going into the room as if it was my home, like Lady Capulet, in this, you know, with the fire escape door. Going in there, sitting on the couch and having this conversation. But it seemed like it was very kind of last minute. They were kind of flying by the seat of the pants. They didn't know what they were doing. They were making it up as they were going along. And obviously the first bad impression that I had was I kind of went in, sat down, and they were all having a chat about what they'd been doing the last few days and what they'd been watching and what they were going to do at the weekend. And I was sat there and they're all sipping drinks and eating biscuits, and they just left me to it. And I was like, you're not even going to offer me a brew. I was just sat there thinking, and literally, you're not paying me for this. And I get it, you know, I was there to kind of work on my own skills as well.
No, but I don't get it.
I felt like it was a little bit rude, a little bit like no. Like, stop being. Here's the thing, right? Stop being diplomatic.
It's a piss take. If you can't step outside of yourself when you're drinking a drink and not think, oh, that person hasn't got a drink, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And also, I think the conversations around what you've been doing for the past few days, they've got to stop once the actors arrive. They've got to stop. Because if I was an actor, it'd be telling me that these lot are still in the social mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about making a film. We're going to make a film in between the socialising, and we spoke about this on the sound episode.
Yeah.
I have an issue with this because when you're making films, it's like Herzog says, it's serious. This is serious business. No. And that sounds hard. It's not. The thing is, like, when did this become harsh? When did this become harsh? It's not harsh.
Well, it's
like
the same in any other
and even
job,
when
isn't
the way
it?
you describe it's like, it's not okay. And the thing about like people like me and Terry is like, we call it out. No, it's not acceptable that everyone in the room, how many people were sat there? 7? 8?
About 5.
5?
Maybe.
So 5 people sat there having tea and biscuits and no one thought, does the free actor want a biscuit and a drink? Not cool.
No. Well,
It doesn't cost
impacts
anything to be...
badly on...
Exactly.
Yeah.
People come away from them productions and then the next indie film they're on, they come at it with a view of this is going to be a shit show. You should be aiming, if you're a student, whatever that county is, whether you're in London, whether you're in Manchester, you're a student filmmaker, you should be going, we're going to leave a better filmmaking community for the next generation and for those actors so that they go, yes, we're going to do another production and it's going to be worth our time, we're going to be treated well.
Well, I mean, I've had other experiences where,
well, we'll
you know,
get
when
to
you were
that
saying
one.
about, in the last episode where you said about there's no excuse, Herzog saying there's no excuse not to finish a film. And I've done, I think you've already touched on this in one of
We've told this story, but we might as well tell it because it went further than I was willing to say.
Well,
so is this around the same time you're doing these films? You're trying to get screen experience?
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't really have a show.
So this fella.
So I actually felt like I'd fallen on this opportunity. You know, you hear
opportunity.
There's
that word.
No, but he hadn't actually pitched to me. Basically, what happened was on Casting Call Pro, I'd got a message to say thank you for your submission. We'd love to see you for the role of Jen. Could you meet us at Starbucks this time? Blah blah blah. And I thought I haven't applied for this role. And I looked into it, and he was the name. I couldn't really find much out about him, but
that's probably the first red flag.
I know, but I hadn't done a huge amount at this point.
Yeah.
So, and I hadn't done stuff myself, so I was just hoping that something was going to come from it. And I thought, right,
this is why people get exploited.
But it was supposed to be like a paid job. You know, they'd said it would be paid. They'd said that, you know, it was a feature film. I hadn't been in a feature film before. So I thought, well, I've not applied for it, but I'll certainly go to the audition, to the, you know, the shortlist callback. And so I went and I met this guy, and he was very passionate, and he was talking about horror films. It was a horror film. And he was talking about paranormal activity and all these different films that had done really well. And it was all going to be shot in the woods. And at the time, I was still working.
When we say the woods, we mean the woods in Worsley.
Woods in Worsley, yeah.
Like, it's so laughable, but go on anyway. Continue.
Well,
For those who don't know, Worsley's like a little village in Salford with some...
Good woods,
Yeah, they're pleasant. Well, it's nice for a walk,
but anyway, so I got this role.
It ain't Pan's Labyrinth.
No, but anyway, I got this role, and I thought, winning, you know, this is great. I didn't apply for this, and then I got
the role. I never applied, and I got it.
But then the first red flag for me was when we kind of turned up, and they had a student that was there to do like hair and makeup, but then they didn't really know what they were doing. Right. There was a writer there, a designated writer there. Which I thought, okay, that's good. They had someone as cinematographer, but then I kind of found out that they were still in university, or they were just about finishing something. And I started to think, these people aren't. He was much older than all of these other people that he'd gathered, and I thought, he's gathered these people. I mean, I was still hopeful. You know, I wanted it to be. A success story. I wanted it to lead to something and feel like...
Well, he'd sold you the dream of Paranormal Activity, which had made millions. But go on, so you do this shoot in the woods.
So
but do you want to talk about the reality of doing that?
Well, I mean, in fairness, It was a huge amount of work because there was one guy that was travelling from Birmingham every single day. This is Monday through to Friday that we were filming. I obviously still had a young family then. My kids
And you
were
had a job.
Yeah, I was working as a courier. But the great thing about when I was working as a courier was that I could say, okay, well, these are the parcels that I get for the day. Depending on what my shoot hours are, I can go out and do my filming when I'm needed, and then I can go out and I can deliver parcels up until 9 o'clock at night. So I had a bit of flexibility there. And so, yeah, it was very much one day I'd go out in the morning, deliver parcels, come back, get ready, go over to the woods, do a full day of shooting. We'd shoot various different scenes, be walking around, filming lots of different parts. And the filming itself was enjoyable. There was one scene where I was against this monster. I wasn't getting anything back. And I was like, I've always been well, you'll know, I cry at anything. I'm quite an emotional person, and it was supposed to be something where I was getting quite emotional. I just wasn't getting there at all. And it felt really
It was because you
strange.
knew it was bullshit.
Well, I don't know what it was, but I certainly wasn't feeling it at all. And this guy was just kind of like stood there staring at me.
When you say monster, what do you mean?
He wasn't a monster at all. It was just a guy.
Well, what was it?
He was just stood a bit like crooked.
So when was it going to be a monster?
I don't know.
Did he say later on there's going to be a monster?
No, it was supposed to be this guy, but it was like he was possessed, but there wasn't any makeup or anything. I know, it's bad. Looking back, you think you're an idiot. But
for people who know cinema, can you tell people what the film is called?
Ed Wood.
The film was called Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Now,
it was
for anyone who knows cinema, Tim Burton made a film called Ed Wood about the worst filmmaker of all time, essentially. Well, he's commonly regarded as the worst filmmaker of all time. And this guy decided he was going to name his film Ed Wood. Was it Ed Wood?
No, it was Ed Wood the name.
Ed Wood the name, not Ed Wood.
No.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah.
So you do...
Anyway, a full month of filming.
You do 30 days in this fucking... the woods of Worsley.
Yeah.
No, it gets me agitated, this story, because do you know how much I find it frustrating that, to me, it was clear this guy never had intentions of finishing this.
I know, but we found out more information about this later on. So when we had finished our shoot, it came to it, and then he was saying, "Oh, we're going to have to do some ADR because obviously some of it we've not been able to do with the sound in the woods. So we need to."
It sounds like he'd clearly studied a few films and he knew what to say.
Yeah.
He knew the words.
And I think he'd obviously looked for people that probably hadn't had an awful lot of experience themselves. So if he was talking to me like this now, I'd be like,
"You're full of shit."
Yeah. Whereas back then, I didn't have anything to kind of compare
to gauge it with. Yeah.
So yeah, I think my naivety kind of didn't do me any favours really. But anyway, so we came to.
So you do ADR. Where do you do the ADR?
So we did some ADR in the car, in the back of the car.
And in Worsley Woods?
Yeah. At this point, me and the other actors
sounds so seedy. It's like a proper dodgy B movie.
No, I know. But we were laughing about it and ridiculing it because we thought this is just...
Because at this point, the actors knew, didn't they?
We knew. But as well, when he was talking about payment and stuff...
Well, this is it, because you'd kind of been told this was paid.
Yeah.
And then as it went along, do you want to talk about...
Well, he started to kind of... He didn't talk to all of us all together. He decided to kind of pull each of us aside individually and then he'd have a little conversation with us. But he was talking about various different occasions where people had gone for a small payout, but then obviously when the film went on to do well, if they'd have taken shares...
They took some points in the film.
They took royalties, and if they'd have taken royalties, they'd have earned a huge amount of money.
Incredible. Do you know how many times these things actually happen?
No.
They're once every generation, aren't they? We've got like The Evil Dead, Paranormal Activity. Star Wars is one where some people took points in it and then got rich.
Apparently Kindergarten, the kid, what's it called?
Cop.
The one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I read that in his
cited
book.
that? Oh, in his book? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was saying...
I was going to say, you're in Worsley Woods and he was talking about, do you know Kindergarten Cop? That was the example he was trying to sell you on. I know, but that's bullshit as well, isn't it? Because when you think he was a massive star.
Yeah.
Like,
no, they were just a
yeah.
bit nervous about him switching and doing something that was a bit different.
So we started pulling people aside saying, do you want percentages of the film? And
he
said,
was obviously pushing for it. And
no,
I said,
want paying.
No, I'd actually prefer payment. And he was like, right, okay, yeah, if that's what you want, then you can sign for that. And he was a bit shirty about it. But
were you getting worried at this time that you were not getting paid?
I was getting a little bit nervous. But to be honest, the main thing that I wanted was the footage. Because I'd spent...
Oh, you've just said the thing that...
No, I know, but
this is how people get exploited.
Yeah.
Will be good for the show reel.
But when you first started out, that is what you need. And I mean... Now it's easier than ever to make your own show reel, and there's so many casting directors that always say, look, we'd rather just see you. It doesn't matter if it's a self-tape. We just want to see who you are, what you look like, how you talk, how you are.
Honestly, I totally agree. If I was casting, and like I know people say, well, who are you? Like, you're just an indie filmmaker. But I agree, like, it wouldn't matter what level you're on. I mean, for Lord of the Rings, I believe Elijah Wood literally just filmed himself doing some speech from the book of Lord of the Rings and sent a tape.
Wow.
Wasn't asked for, he just sent it. Was cast as Frodo Baggins. It's like, you just want to see an essence of something that you're looking for. Yeah, so go on. So you wanted the footage.
Yeah, I did. That was the main thing. I wanted the footage. I wanted it to be finished, and I wanted something that was going to be good for my show reel, because I was wanting to push my career forward, and that's what I needed to kind of be seen. But then it came down to him paying, and he said, all right, okay, after we'd done that, and then we did the other ADR where we were all sat round. You have talked about that on another episode.
Oh, what was that?
We were all sat in a living room.
And without a screen?
Yeah.
Without a screen?
We didn't have any clips or anything.
No clips, just say the words.
Just going over the script. And I thought, people did say this slightly differently. I don't quite know how this is going to match up.
What did he say?
He just said, I can make it work. I can make it work. Yeah, don't worry.
Right.
Yeah.
Long story short.
Basically, yeah, we found out that he'd actually tried to make this film before under another name. He had a different name. He'd been blacklisted by Equity because he'd done very similar things with other actors. They'd gone through the whole production, and then right near the end, he'd said that he wasn't going to pay them. He couldn't pay them because they needed to do some extra scenes. And he did actually say that to us. He said, we need some reshoots. And we all said, look, we're happy to do the reshoots, but can you give us some money? Because Ed,
I'm not being funny.
Was travelling from Birmingham every single day.
Wait a minute. Even if we forget about this guy from Birmingham for a minute, you're raising a family.
No, I know.
You're working a full-time job. You're juggling your hours around this shoot in Worsley Woods. It's a piss take.
No, I know.
So he'd been blacklisted.
He'd been blacklisted. Decided to go by a new name.
You threw a lawsuit at him or a contract? What did you throw at him?
Yeah, so I arranged...
Throw, it sounds so violent.
I know, no. I arranged to meet him because I have always been very diplomatic, and I'd said, look, I want to meet you, and I'm happy to talk about, what we're going to do going forwards. And I pulled up at Worsley, and he was pulling up, and basically it was just my contract and me serving him, saying I wanted paying because I needed that. I needed to have evidence to show that he had that copy. And basically, he pulled up. He didn't even stop fully in his car. He wound the window down.
Not like he knew.
Well, he saw that Robert, who was with me, he started filming.
Oh,
as he pulled up.
And he was like, I've seen this picture before.
He kind of pulled up, and I said, there's my contract. I do want paying. And he kind of threw it through his window, and he sped off. And that's the last time I saw him.
Wow.
Last time I spoke to him.
But it's not the last time we heard from him.
No, it's not. You.
He popped up.
He did.
A number of years later, didn't he?
Yeah.
On Facebook. And he was trying to make the fucking thing again.
He was. I know. And he'd put something, and then I said...
He'd reverted back to his old blacklisted name, hadn't he? So I saw this post on an actors group on Facebook advertising for actors, and I put on the comment section, I think I put something like, don't you still owe money to the people
who did it? Is this the same?
Is it? Oh, that's it. Is this
Naz?
The same? You just said his name.
Yeah, well, he deserves it.
What was he called?
Dean Naz.
So is this the same Dean Naz that was making this film a few years ago? the post disappeared, and then he inboxed me and said, Who are you? Who are you? What the fuck are you talking about? And I never responded. I just thought, I'll leave you with that. I will leave you with that thought.
Yeah.
But the fact that the post disappeared, I thought, I can't believe this guy is trying to make this film again.
But what I don't understand is, if he was so, like, I admire the passion that he wants to get something done, but do it then. Do it. Finish it. If
Here's the thing, right? Do you know
what?
what?
He's filmed it a second time with the whole other cast.
Do you know what?
What is
Do you know
it that's
what?
holding you back?
If I look to that script, I don't admire it. Because what are you doing in the woods making a horror film?
Well, he's wanting to make money, isn't he? That's why he's in it.
Oh, see. And this is what did Del Toro say in the last... I don't see storytelling, it's not a business, it's something spiritual.
I know, but the fact that he always talked about these horror movies and they would be made on a shoestring budget, and then they'd go on to talk about Blair Witch Project and things like that. And it's like, yeah, but it's been done.
It's been done.
It was novel, and it captured the the audience at the time. But you're not going to recreate that.
No.
And why would you want to?
No. So that's your first foray into screen roles didn't go very well. So you decided you were going to track down your buddy Chris Stone. Now you didn't know Chris Stone at this point, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know him. I knew of him.
So Chris Stone.
Okay, I'm sure
he's probably the leading showreel guy, isn't he, in the country?
He is, definitely. If you've had any kind of interactions with Act on This or Act Up North or anything like that, you'll know of Chris Stone. So yeah, he's a showreel producer. He's a filmmaker himself. The first things that I'd seen, it was basically when I was looking for new agents, because I had a couple of agents, but again, it was more theatre that they were looking at. And then when I was trying to transition, he was getting older, and it was all kind of musical stuff that he was kind of pushing me for. And I was looking around. I had like a huge amount of crappy content. I'd been in adverts, I'd done a few different things, like there was a Tonight Show thing. I'd done something with
Ricky, do like a dating advert and all these kind of things.
And then there was...
But it's not the same, right, is it?
Well, no, because you're like, oh, yeah, smile.
Yeah.
It's not proper...
Well, this is
even
it.
Speaking the majority of the time.
Is the lead in a Plenty of Fish advert going to be able to lead a movie? It's true, do you know what I mean? And it's like the amount of actors that send a showreel and like 30 seconds of it is, what's that fucking, the holiday advert?
Jet2 Holidays.
Yeah, Jet2. We had one.
Oh, yeah,
and it's like
did,
they sent 30 seconds of Jet2 and it's like, but that proves nothing to me. Like,
yeah.
I don't mean to be arrogant, but like I could do that. You've got to smile at the camera for a bit, look like you're having a good time on holiday. Like, I probably would be having a good time. I've been taken away for a week to film this advert.
I'm
having a paycheck. I'm in the sun. Like, I could do it. So go on. So you wanted to get on, and you came across Chris Stone.
So I came across, and I'd been going on Act on This as well. I was, I became a member of Act on This, and I was very much. I loved Ross's energy, and he was all for kind of taking your career into your own hands and doing as much as you can and investing in yourself. And I'd never really done that. Me spending money, I mean, now I'm not really one for spending money. But I started thinking, no, I need to actually invest in myself. So rather than me searching around for all of these small student films or this, that and the other, and they always say it's going to be great, but then you get it back and you think, it doesn't do anything for me. It's not good showreel material if it's even finished. So I thought, right, I'm going to pay for it. And then I saw that he put an advert out for, because at the time he'd been doing Year of Spies.
He was doing a web series, wasn't he?
Yeah. So I applied for it, and then he asked me to send a tape in. And he always says he quite liked, because in the script there was a bit where I was holding a gun to someone, because I was a secret agent, and I take a cigarette out and I go to light it, and I said, do you mind? And then he doesn't want me to do it, and then I have to put it away. But then at the same time, I'm constantly, oh no, I light it, that's it. I'm constantly holding this gun. So when I was playing around with it, I was like,
how do we do this?
Yeah, how am I going to do this? And I thought, well, I've got to do it. That's what he says. I do. So I ended up like kind of putting it over my ear and pulling it out, and then I kind of brushed it aside, and I found a way to kind of stick to what the script said.
You'd read the actions.
I had read the actions.
Fucking hell.
it stood out to him because he was like, she read it.
Jesus Christ.
No, but he said, I really liked the audition. I thought it was really cool, and I loved what you did. You know, you made it feel.
No,
real.
I mean, I'm Jesus Christ in it. Like the fact that, like, when you think
The bar's so low.
no, what you're saying before about that post, like, there's so many of these, like,
I wouldn't do that.
keyboard actors. They're so busy typing about acting rather than actually doing their own work. And it's like, you were the person who came to Chris and actually had read it and done the thing. You'd done the thing.
You know, you'd seen a few other people, and he'd said there were a few other people up for it, but yeah, he did say he really liked what I'd done with it, and then we met because he says he always kind of likes to meet someone. Him and Steph, we all met at the Trafford Centre, and just to see if he said I like to see if they're nice people who I want to work with, because sometimes you can meet people and think you're a knobhead and I don't really want to spend much time with you.
Correct.
But no, so we had a nice chat, and yeah, so I got the role, and it was great. So I did get to work with him.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, that didn't get finished.
Well, do you want to say why?
Really. It wasn't. It was frustrating. It was frustrating.
Don't be diplomatic.
It was frustrating for Chris as well, because he'd obviously put a lot of time into this, and it was his third episode. He'd done 2 before, and they were great episodes. One with Ross in, one with Rachel Shenton in, who's obviously gone on to do very good things. She won the Oscar recently. But yeah, we'd done this scene and we'd done the majority of it, and then we needed to kind of go back, and then there was one of the actors who was coming back, and then he'd shaved his tash off, but obviously we'd shot like 70% of it. So Chris was saying, what have you done? why have you now not got this? And he was like, oh well, I got a role. And it was like a background role where he was doing something on Game of Thrones or
Game
something.
of Thrones, yeah.
Or I might be misremembering, it might have been the other way around where he was clean shaven and he'd shaved it all off or something. So we had to kind of push back, and then there was something else.
Here's the thing with that,
happened.
right? That I get actors wanting to get on, but I'm always of the opinion, if you commit to one thing, you finish that.
Without a doubt. Well, with the student thing, I'd done another.
Oh
advert.
yeah, you got a good advert. You got an offer, didn't you?
I did, because I'd done an advert for Better Bathrooms, and they asked me to do another one.
You are a mug for this, to be fair.
I still stand by it. I'd said yes to these students, and I'd agreed to do it, and they'd booked out that log cabin. I wasn't going to let them down.
But you said they were all right.
They were all right.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going to let them down, because I'd agreed to do it.
Not Romeo and Juliet crew.
No.
Like, they deserve letting down. Well, they do. They can't even give you a fucking digestive.
No, I'm of the old school where if you say you do
I agree.
something,
No, you do it properly. You do it properly.
Yeah.
I'm being flippant. I'm trying to be humorous. But this film, web series, whatever you want to call it didn't get finished because. But it was because of the one actor, wasn't it?
It was, and then obviously there was a couple of other things. We'd arranged to pick it up again in August. Oh, I think Chris had really started, his business had started to really take the showreel stuff. Because this had been very, very quiet, and then all of a sudden
everyone wanted a showreel.
Just getting loads, and I know what it's like when you're self-employed. When the work comes in, you don't want to
turn it down. Yeah, money's money, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't turn it down. So he was taking that, and then we said, right, okay, we'll stick to this date. And then one of the other cast had been cast in another film, so it just it went on, and then it got past the point of being able to kind of pick up.
This is the thing with indie that I think a lot of the audience for Blurred Lines don't really understand the minute details you have to consider, because if it gets outside of that period you've got booked, it falls apart.
Yeah.
It does. And I think like a lot of the people who think like I'm crazy and like I have this shit approach, no, I'm being realistic about, because like
it just wouldn't get finished.
I know what this person who shaved their beard has gone on to do. They've gone on and done a shitload of student films. But what they did was, as far as I can tell, they saw the Hollywoods, they saw the stars, didn't they? That they were.
Yeah, it was.
They saw the stars and they were like, "Oh, I'm getting a walk on this famous show." Fair enough. But then quickly you come down back to reality and you're doing student shorts. Instead, you could have been with Chris Stone, and he's someone who he'll have your showreel set up for the next 40 years, won't he? Because he invites you back. How many showreels have you done with Chris Stone?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I can't even remember. It's something like 40. But to be fair, Chris always recommends me because after that, I think he felt bad that it hadn't.
So he tried to make it right for you.
He'd always finished everything, and he felt really gutted.
Like Herzog said, there's no excuse.
Exactly, and he's very much of that opinion. He will always fight through to get it finished. But on that occasion, it didn't. And I did pay for a showreel. I met up with a girl and we did.
You did like a period scene.
Yeah, because again, still it's that theatrical side that the period drama stuff was always of great interest to me. So I did a period one, and then he got a new camera and he said, "Do you fancy coming over and I'll get you and Ross to just do one." He wrote a script and then we did that, and then since that he's invited me back loads, and he'll always kind of recommend me to actors that are looking for.
Do we dare share what Terence J. Corbett calls some of these characters?
Oh, posh slag. Yeah, because
so Terry Corbett
calls
because Chris Stone likes to cast you as like the upper class villain.
Yeah,
but Terry just cuts through that. It's not upper class villain.
Oh, he's posh slag back.
Oh, he's posh slag back.
So that's my alter ego.
Another role as posh slag.
Yeah.
That's what Terry called you for about first 4 years I knew you. He didn't call you anything but posh slag, but I think he says Miranda every now and again now.
Oh, thanks, Tom.
So alongside this, you're still trying to do more screen work.
Yeah.
You do this film that Johnny talked about last week. You auditioned for Cleft Lip. Mm-hmm. Now this film, I said last week, I can't believe this film's on Disney Plus.
It's unbelievable. I'm shocked. Well, to quote your film. Well, I didn't even tell my family when it was on Netflix. You announced it to them at Christmas, didn't you?
Yeah. So you come to the audition, but you'd done your prep, hadn't you?
I had, yeah.
And what was it? Do you want to talk about, like, you'd watched the video blogs that I made for Raven on the Jetty.
Yeah.
And what was appealing about working with Eric? Because you said there was a couple of things that you were like, I know I need to do this.
Yeah, because I, obviously coming from theatre, even though I knew the technical differences between that and screen, when I watched myself back, I knew that I still had tendencies to go a bit too larger than life.
So you knew that?
I knew that I needed to
bring it in, rein it in.
And and I was highly aware of that, and that was something that really drew me to Eric, because he talked very much about stillness, about the use of the eyes, the importance of holding a moment.
Do you know, sorry to interrupt you. Do you know what was really interesting listening to Del Toro? And it doesn't, I don't know if it really comes through listening to the episode again, but when he was like saying that you've got to be very specific, you deliver the line and you don't look at them until this point. Like that level of thought with, no, it's at this point that you do that. And you meet so many, I've worked with them, so many filmmakers and so many actors who like, you can't talk like that, but it's like, Will would be like, why are you quoting Ozu again or Bresson? But these filmmakers, the simplicity of how they approach cinema, so that when it gets to the emotional sort of catharsis, your heart breaks. And I think, obviously, like Del Toro didn't go too far into it, but it was clear to me that that's a filmmaker who very much considers, he joked on it's a dialogue, but it's a monologue, and you better tell me now because
you won't get
another chance. And he laughed, but I thought, he's fucking telling the truth here. This is truthful. And the fact that he was so specific in, let's move on this line to this. The eyes are criminally underrated in cinema. And I think like it should be something in universities that we spend maybe a whole module discussing. We watch a range of films and we just watch the eyes of an actor.
Yeah.
And it'd teach you so much about performance. It really would. And Michael Caine, to go back to that book, he never shuts up about the eyes.
No.
He never shuts up about the eyes.
Well, that's something that Chris always tells people, because often Chris is working with actors that possibly haven't done very much themselves. And he always says, look at the eye that's closest to the camera, because obviously that means...
That's a Michael Caine thing.
Yeah, it is.
Well, he says pick an eye. But yeah, he says he tends to go to the one
that's closer.
Closer.
Yeah. But he does. He often cites a number of different things that Michael Caine has said in that, because it's really handy, useful information for actors.
And this was something. So Eric was keen on the eyes. So you were like, I'm gonna get a chance here to audition for someone who's looking for stillness, who's looking for someone who can do it with their eyes. Because if you're doing a close up, right, if you need to be able to do it within that small frame, like, and this is, I think, where people get totally confused about what I'm talking about with cinema. But to me, it is a totally different thing than theatre.
Oh, it is. It is. And sometimes you can do... Like, I remember when you were talking to Johnny and you said, do you remember what you did at the beginning of the scene? When we first started rolling for the blurred lines. Sometimes as an actor, you feel like you're doing something, but it's coming across completely different, and you'll see it if I watched the recording back, I go, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
But in the moment, like me and Johnny, when we were doing that scene, it felt so emotional, so like connected.
Yes.
It felt great, and then you said it's too much. We need to bring that right down, because otherwise it's not got anywhere to go.
Where's it going?
And at the time, I remember thinking, well, that felt really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought, well, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
And it was, you were right. You were right. And that's, to be fair, I'm not going to start.
Well, we'll get to that, because we'll get to that. So
but Eric.
So with Eric, we do this. You come to an audition, so it's like, that's like, as with Johnny, 10 years ago this year.
I know.
So we'd have met that audition 10 years ago this year. So I was behind the camera and I remember thinking, wow, this is a really good audition. But it turns out you'd kind of studied what Eric liked.
Oh, yeah, big time. Well, it was great, because all of those diary entries that you'd filmed...
For the previous feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was another reason why I wanted to work with him, because I knew it was going to actually get finished.
Holy shit.
No, it's true.
No, I can understand that after working on Ed Wood, not the Tim Burton Ed Wood. No. Ed Wood by Dean Naz.
It is when you're constantly working to get something that you feel like you're proud of putting forward, and then you keep doing these things and nothing's coming from it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, because he does finish them.
He does. He does. And whether you like Eric's work or not, he does. He knocks them out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So no, I was very enthusiastic about that audition, and also the fact that you'd done all of these video diaries. It was great for me, because I do love to do my research, and I watched all of them. I wanted to know everything that he was interested in. I wanted to know what he was looking for, because sometimes as an actor you go in and you're like, I can give you whatever you want. What do you want? And they don't tell you. Because they're obviously, and I know from your side now, they're looking for what you do instinctively. But sometimes as an actor you think, tell me what you want and I'll give it you.
Can I ask you? I'm thinking how to phrase this without being... You got to worry when you've worked with so many people, like you don't want to offend people, but you were very much approaching that project of, okay, this is what he's after, I'm going to do that. What's your opinion when actors know that's what the filmmaker does, and they think it ain't going to be that, is it? I.e., they then take
why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if that's their project, because if I was writing something, I'd put that time in to write it how I want.
You know why I'm asking that, don't you?
I do. It's not really fair for you to go into a project and then decide that you want to do something different, because that's not what they've written, what their vision is, and they're the ones that's paying at the end of the day.
Believe it or not, this isn't actually about blurred lines, why I'm asking this question, is it?
It's not.
So this issue crops up often, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That you cast an actor, they know what you want to do, and then they decide, well, I don't want it to be that. Yeah, because it happened on Cleft Lip. I'm not going to, to be honest, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Someone in Cleft Lip said to Eric, it's not going to be like the last one, is it?
Yeah, because it was really slow.
Because they didn't like...
They didn't like the style at all. But
yeah, I mean, and apparently they were saying it to the other actors as well, weren't they?
Oh yeah, when we came for a screening, because Eric did a screening of various different films that had been an influence to him, didn't he?
Yeah, it was like Ozu, Bresson.
Yeah.
To be honest...
It was great.
It was incredible.
It was, I really enjoyed it.
The Ozu film where there's a couple sat on a bridge and they're facing opposite directions, and he talked about how the disconnect between how they perceive the past. The father... Was it the father looked on it badly, the mother remembers it well?
Fondly,
yeah. It might be the other way around.
Yeah.
I think that was the right way. And then there was L'Argent, the Bresson film, where he talked about how Bresson cuts up the way this murder's presented so that we only see the axe, and then the axe lands in the pond. The guy throws it in a pond at the end. And it was just how Bresson, like, dissected the pieces and the elements and presented. You understood what had happened without seeing what had happened.
I remember another one there was a glass that was shaking. I think it was
Stalker.
Was it a Russian one?
Yeah, Stalker.
Yeah, I can't.
The guy,
we've watched it since.
Yeah,
haven't we?
we've watched it. The guy, the kid reaches out for the glass, and the glass comes to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I loved that because they were films that I'd never seen, I'd never been introduced to before.
Like you wanted to learn.
Yeah, exactly. No, but
Who knew?
No, but I thought it was fascinating, and I thought, I'm in good hands. This guy knows what he wants. He's obviously he's got an understanding of cinema. Whether, because I did watch his other films before as well, you know. I thought some of them were, it was very slow. It's not usually, it's certainly not like high, you know, mainstream
No,
cinema.
they're not mainstream films.
They're
but
more
like, at the end of the day, it's
art
what, how
house.
many times have I said this? And it's not like, listen, my films are not as slow as Eric's, but I think indie should be trying to do things different to mainstream. Otherwise, like, why? You're the bootleg Beatles, right? And it's like, well, no, it's not even a good analogy, is it? Because the bootleg Beatles are fucking great.
Yeah.
No, but like, therethere's no point in being the cover band in a pub, is there?
No.
As far when it comes to storytelling. So yeah, they're very specific. Go on.
I thought it was really interesting, really informative, and I thought, like I said, I'm in good hands here. And whether that is something that I would, you know, want to make myself or you know, be involved with it. I definitely wanted to be involved with it because I thought this guy's got a vision, you know, and he knows what he's doing and why he's doing it. But one of the other actors was quite, I won't say forceful, but he was quite vocal about that. It's not going to be like the others, is it? It's not going to be that slow. It's not going to be, because I think he
actually
didn't
said it.
Like
he said it one evening while we were shooting, and I remember thinking, do you know how incredibly rude that is?
The thing is, if you've got so many questions or doubts, I don't know why you do it.
No.
Unless you're desperate. But then if you're desperate, shut up and do it.
It's like, it's flash in the pan stuff. It's like, I need to get there quick. If I don't get there quick, it's not worth it. But equally, it's like, go and pay Chris Stone. Pay Chris Stone to have a show reel and do that. Don't be in an art house film, whatever you want to call it, an indie micro-budget art house film, and then complain that it ain't like Fast and Furious or whatever else you're in. I'm not saying it's fast, but whatever the thing is that you're into. But anyway, you got the role, and you were pretty pleased with that.
I was, yeah. I was pleased that I'd got the role, and I put a lot of time and effort into, you know, working on my character behind the scenes. I wasn't actually in it. I was like the second credit, like the main female
You're more like
character.
the third character, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm only in it for about 8 minutes.
Actually, let's
I'm
just nip back
referred
a
to.
little bit. When you got the role, you knew a filmmaker at the time, didn't you? And
Oh yeah.
he dogged on the fact that this said draft number 3 or something,
it was
didn't
like,
he?
third draft.
Third
oh
draft,
dear.
yeah. And this guy had made a couple of shorts, hadn't he?
Yeah, well, he kept talking about wanting to make a feature, but he was always saying, "Oh, yeah, well, the feature. If it's the first feature, you've got to make it. You've got to make a statement with it, and you've got to have at least 10 million, and this, that, and the other." I don't know whether he's ever made a
No, and this
feature
is the thing. It's
since
like,
that point, but
and we'll get to blurred lines, but a lot of people talk a good game.
yeah.
There's a difference between talking the good game and going out and doing it.
And that's the
it's
thing
like,
with Eric.
for
whether
better or worse, whether or not you like Eric likes Eric films.
Yeah.
Like, it might not be for everyone, and it's crazy that it's on Disney Plus. Like, I don't know.
No.
The House of Mouse, what is going on? There must be all sorts of chaos for them to be putting Cleft Lip on Disney Plus. But he believes in that kind of cinema, and I respect that there's a guy who's like, for better or worse, this is what I want to present.
Yeah.
I just wanted to divert there because there's a little thing of like third draft. It's like your first draft might be incredible. Stallone wrote Rocky in a matter of days. Paul Schrader wrote Taxi Driver in a week. Like, this idea of, I hate these notions that there's this one way of doing something. Like, Stallone was literally sleeping in his car, wrote Rocky in a few days, sells it. Paul Schrader wrote Taxi Driver. Werner Herzog. It comes out with me within 5 days. And if it doesn't, it's no good. I'll never look at that script again. So anyway, you do this little aside. You get on to Cleft Lip. One thing I want to ask you about, in hindsight, careful how I tread here, I think major misstep, and I don't know what Eric was thinking here. He shot a sex scene on day one, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about the pressure you felt with that?
I could see both sides of it. I didn't know whether it was a case of... Because, yeah, there was this sex scene. And I didn't know whether he'd put it on the first day because he was like, let's get it out of the way and then you can relax for the rest of the shoot. But also, if you're doing it on the first day, I'd met, you know, Reese, who I was...
Your partner in the film.
Yeah. I'd met him like twice before.
Yeah.
So, and obviously I had done things where I'd done like nude scenes or sex scenes or kissing scenes and things like that. And I at the time I was always quite liberal with that.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily overly nervous and cautious about it, but you're still doing an intimate thing. So yeah, I was a bit nervous about the fact that it was on the very first day and it was after lunch as well, so I was like, oh, I'm not flipping eating anything. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking, and I know that there was some people on there that were very kind of, I know, was it Mariel?
Mariel.
Yeah.
She was all for...
closing it down.
Yeah, protecting you, really, wasn't she?
And
she was
lovely.
great. She was incredible, Mariel.
She was lovely, really, really nice. And great, you know, great with doing all the set.
Yeah, Mariel Pym.
Yeah.
We'll give Mariel a shout out.
Props and stuff. No, it was. And I think, to be honest, because you and Eric, obviously behind the camera, were in the corner of the room behind us, weren't you? And then we've been doing kissing and stuff. And then he'd said, I think maybe, because after we'd had sex, I get up from the bed and then I go through to the bathroom. He said, I think you will like bend over and pick up your knickers. And in my head, I'm thinking, there ain't no way I'm bending over. Like, with you behind me, with that camera, I'm not bending over like that. So,
it sounds so perverted, doesn't it? Like, me and Eric are in the corner. Right, you bend over.
You bend over, put your knickers on,
and then walk off.
And then walk off. And I was like, well, if, you know, she's just had sex, she's in her house, you know, would she
just walk off?
Would she not just go to the bathroom? Because I was thinking, one, I don't really want to just bend over. But two, I was thinking, well, if I probably would just go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, right, well, if you're okay with doing that. But yeah, so...
To be clear, he's got such a cool accent. He's got the coolest accent going. But go on anyway.
I can't do it justice.
Yeah, it's like Danish/Ghanaian. And it's like such a cool twang in how he says things.
Yeah.
Well, go on.
So yeah, it did feel a bit nerve-wracking. And looking back on it, I don't think the scene itself did justice to us being a proper couple. Because it looked... Well, it didn't look like we were being intimate. It didn't look like we had a history, a connection. And that's obviously my fault as an actor, because I've not portrayed that. But it might have been helpful if I'd had a little bit more time with him. Or if we'd spent a bit more time, you know, doing it. If you'd said, no, slow it down a bit. Let's have a bit more tenderness rather than, you know, just kind of...
So you how many days did you do?
It was like 8.
8. Talk about... So you get hit by a car off screen. Can you talk about that shoot? Because I think it's worth people hearing difficulties and maybe making them think twice about ideas that they might have. You were sat on the road basically in the rain.
I was lying on the road.
Go on, do you want to talk about it?
I'm all for, you know, if it serves a scene and it's necessary, you've just got to get on.
You were sat there for a long time.
I was lying down and it was freezing, and I've never been so cold since. And I know sometimes you are going to have to do that. I've been on other productions where you're out and you're filming and it's freezing, but the fact that I was lying on the floor, and they tried to do as much as they could. They'd got like a dry sheet, you know, like a camping sheet that I was lying on for some of it, but obviously for the wider shots you'd be able to see it, so they couldn't have that down. I was lying on the floor. It had been raining. I was in like a summer dress. It was like a knee dress.
So this was your own dress, wasn't it?
It was my own dress.
Do you want to? Can you just say?
Yeah, because he'd hired an ambulance, hadn't he?
Yeah.
And there was a paramedic guy that was playing the paramedic. He said, "Would you mind if we actually cut your dress, cut it open?" I was like, I kind of would. I like this dress.
Yeah.
Because they'd got me a couple of other dresses for other scenes, but then I was using my own dress, and it was one that I bought a couple of years ago. And I did. I really liked that, and I thought, well, I'd rather you didn't if there was a way around it. So he didn't, but I was glad in the end because you couldn't actually see me when they did it. When
the shot
I saw
of you,
the shot, and I thought you can barely see my face.
You barely notice you're there.
I know, and I was lying down. It was about, I don't know how long it was. It was about 3 hours or something, where I was lying on the cobblestones of Manchester.
It's right by, for people who know Manchester, Hope Mill Theatre, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's down like
on
one of them
cobbles.
on one of them streets there where you've got like the old warehouses. It's got a real northern vibe about it.
My head was in a bit of a puddle because my hair was all wet at the back, and I was all bloodied up. I had makeup
I'll be
on.
honest, like I'll put my neck out. I thought the shooting schedule didn't warrant the amount of time that you were sat there. The amount of shots we actually had to get.
I didn't. Yeah, I was just.
And when you see it, you're now thinking, I sat there all that time for that.
Yeah, but then I've done adverts where you're there for like 10 hours and it's there for 2 seconds.
It's all relative, isn't it? Let me ask, this is really personal. So you've like had a history of like worrying about how you look on screen, like feeling possibly sometimes big or overweight. When you saw the trailer for Cleft Lip, can you talk about that? Because it's quite sad, really. So you watched the trailer for Cleft Lip?
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah, I have. I think a lot of people that are actors are obviously well aware of your image because you are constantly kind of critiqued and judged on it. I've always had worries with my weight, and I've struggled with various different eating disorders and things like that throughout the years. But yeah, when it came to seeing because
he used the sex scene in the trailer.
He used the sex scene, and basically, I remember of that scene. It was a moment where I was kind of feeling very deflated, and I remember I was like, I didn't know what the shot was, but I knew my back was to the camera, and I was just slumped, and my head was kind of down, and it was just my back to the camera and
your naked back.
My naked back
against a white
wall. And when I saw the trailer, and it was my back. And it sounds so pathetic, but it was my back, and I'm very pale anyway, but I looked like a fat hunchback against this white wall. I looked like a White Walker. And I was just like, I didn't understand why it was in the trailer, other than
this film has nudity.
Yeah, and I thought it's not even sexy. I get sex sells, but that's not sexy. I don't quite understand what you're trying to sell with having that image in the trailer. It's got nothing to do with anything.
Can you talk about the impact it had on you for that day?
Well, I cried for the rest of the day.
And when you say cry?
Oh yeah, I was bawling. I felt because obviously when you always say, you know, pain is temporary, film is forever. Chris always says it as well.
You know where I got that from? Again, watching DVDs, I remember Miranda Otto, another Miranda, from Lord of the Rings. She was like exhausted doing the scene from Lord of the Rings where Eowyn fights the Witch King in Return of the King. And she's almost in tears, and Peter Jackson just goes, just remember, pain's temporary, film's forever. And I thought, it's fucking great.
Well,
Because it's true, because the amount of times like you're like, oh god damn, this is hard. 8 months, 9 months, a year down the line, you forget it. And bloody hell, when we get to discussing X, I've had some pain. I've had some real pain making movies. But it's like, you kind of forget about it. But yeah, go on. So you're watching this shot and it hurt you, didn't it?
it did, because I didn't understand why it was in. It felt
Exploitative.
a little bit. And I mean, I don't know why it was in there. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't. It wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't get it, and I felt disgusted by it. Really, I felt not enthusiastic about watching the film.
So the film eventually, it's finished. So you've done your 7-8 days out of, what was it? I think it was something like 32 day shoot. The film shot kind of January to March, screens around October, November. You watched the film, thoughts?
Yeah, I was.
So it was screened at, it was Media City, weren't it? The View at Media City.
Yeah, it was. And it was my first premiere. So, I felt excited about going to that. It was cool to see the poster, outside the cinema and going into the cinema. And it was exciting. But then the film came on and I was watching it and I was just, the further I got into the film, I was kind of like sinking further and further down into my seat and thinking, oh my word, I don't want to be in here.
Really?
I didn't.
This is brutally honest here.
It is, because I didn't. It just didn't feel like he spoke so wonderfully about cinema. He spoke so passionately. And when he was analysing those films that he was showing us, there was a reason for this and a reason for that. And I just kind of felt like there was so much empty, dead space. Like we were watching something and it was just like, I can understand you holding on a moment after something really poignant has happened, leaving that with the audience so that your audience can kind of contemplate and understand, or gather their thoughts on what's just happened.
Me and you watch a lot of movies, right?
Yeah.
And when we watch we've watched a lot of Ozu and Bresson, who kind of the major influences. We watched one not long ago. Do you remember about the Bresson film where the woman commits suicide and everyone's trying to understand, the partner's trying to understand why she did it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of blank space, but
there's a reason for it.
Yes.
And it gives you
just
that
holding for the
breathing
sake of
time.
holding does nothing.
No, it's like, well, why am I staring at an empty staircase?
Bresson has a way, you know exactly what that dead space means.
Yeah.
I remember within the first, I forget the name of the title of that film, it was on Will Herbert will like this. It was a Radiance release, a Bresson film. Within the first 3 minutes, I thought, holy shit, this is a master. Do you remember the suicide film?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, God damn, this guy's a master. Just the way he presents time, the way he presents an image, nothing has to be said and you'll know exactly what's happening. There's a long story around Cleft Lip that I'm going to discuss at a later date, because I actually didn't attend the screening, did I?
No.
And you found out later.
I know, and I was.
Well, do you want to just give a hint
shocked.
towards that?
Well, basically, when we were doing like a photo shoot, one of the other actors had told me about something that had kicked off online, and you had fallen out.
Not just me.
No, you.
The crew.
Yeah. The crew had fallen out with Eric because basically you'd done a number of different documentary films. And
All the ones you'd watched.
yeah, no, I know, but he was talking about doing something else, wasn't he?
Yeah, we did one for this film, yeah.
Yeah, but then he hadn't credited you for it, and basically you'd done all of this work and it had gone out to a huge amount of people.
I'm talking thousands.
Like, it was tens of thousands, wasn't it?
It was like universities, filmmakers, they were retweeting it.
And he put a film by Eric Knudsen.
It looked like a film by Eric Knudsen.
With Mark Duggan.
With Mark Duggan.
But, I mean, in fairness, I didn't know anything about this. They
Can you
did
speak
really
about
well.
the crew, because Karen wasn't happy either. Karen was... I'm going to talk about this in a future episode, but myself, Karen and Muriel, you would have never known that we weren't happy.
No, not at all. I didn't have a clue at all, which I really respected, actually, because I've been on another production where I was doing a tour with a guy, and I only found out at the end, because there was only 3 of us with that one, and the tour manager, I found out at the end, completely despised this other guy. And I was like, I had no idea. I didn't realise that at all. And I felt like it was really honourable of him not to have impacted the whole of the tour that we'd been on.
Who knew?
No, I know. But it was the same with you guys. I didn't have a clue that anything was going on, because in fairness, Eric and Janet...
Oh, Johnny said last week.
Yeah, they treated me so well. I was treated
well,
fabulously.
I mean, it's crazy listening to Johnny the other week where he's talking about how kindly he was treated, and actors were.
Yeah,
but like, I can show the other side with Karen. Like, her car was borrowed for one of the shoots. It was dragged around. Like, I heard the gears grinding, it was almost like a handbrake turn that it was used for. Karen looked at me like, what the fuck? Yeah, but we were like, listen, we'll finish the shoot, we'll do the right thing, we'll make sure the filmmaker has their footage.
Yeah, which is that attitude to creativity, isn't it? You
that's
carry
what's
on and
important.
You do the job. Yeah.
But you sank in your seat.
Yeah, because I wasn't. Well, it wasn't what I hoped it would be. I wasn't. I was really hoping that it would be something that I'd be proud of. And I didn't feel like that. I mean, there was a couple of scenes that I thought, actually, they're all right. And I didn't mind them, but it wasn't a huge amount, really.
Can you talk to me a bit about that? Because for a long time you've struggled with, I don't want to say the depression, because I don't throw that word around lightly, because depression is such like a deep, heartbreaking thing, but I don't know what you'd call it, but the anxiety maybe, the mental health struggles around feeling like you're doing this work and feeling like it's all for nothing. And you've struggled, haven't you? Yeah. With your mental health around this.
Definitely, because I mean, it's something that I have wanted to do since being younger. And obviously when you do dedicate so much time and passion towards something, and then you feel like you're always kind of getting knocked back. And then when you do something and you're kind of hoping for something, and then it's not, and you know, they say you shouldn't have expectations because that's where things kind of fall apart, isn't it? But it is really frustrating, because you feel like, I think as an actor, you always kind of feel like you're at the hands of someone else saying yes. Whereas I know you're great when you come about talking to you know, writers and directors and filmmakers and saying there's no excuse, just go and do it. And I have toyed with the idea of making my own work and writing some of my own stuff. But it was always kind of acting that I wanted to do. So you're always at the mercy of someone else saying, yes, you can do that. No.
I think that's a tricky thing, isn't it? Like, if we're going to be like, if we say it's about someone else saying yes, it allows someone else to hold, like, do you know what I mean?
Hold the keys.
Someone else holds the key.
And whether there's an element of me that is kind of a bit scared of me going forward. And saying, okay, this is me, because I mean,
well, you said early on about acting being a way for you not to be you. Yeah. And what was the word you said?
It is
I forgot the word you said.
It's me expressing myself.
Not your words.
Not my words.
You can take someone else's words, and then it's almost like a defence mechanism. Well, they're not my words.
Yeah.
I don't have to stand by them.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a big thing to that, definitely. It's like me being able to be free to express myself, but then not having that judgment of, oh, you said that, you think this, and you know, having that confrontation, because I've always been one that's avoided confrontation.
Conflict,
yeah, definitely.
But you have struggled, like, and I'm sure Chris won't even mind it. Sometimes you've watched scenes there where you've been like, I don't like how I look.
No, and I never I mean, I say it with you.
No, you wouldn't say it to him. You're not.
No.
I'm not.
Sometimes
listen,
he shows me scenes.
I'm not
He's like,
listen.
look at this.
I'll point out to the podcast now. I'm not saying Miranda stands on set saying I don't like my nose in this shot.
No.
Like afterwards.
Like,
I'm talking about the afterwards where you sat with the material. With
I watch it. I rip myself to pieces. Yeah. I can't watch myself, and it's that you literally rip yourself to pieces. You rip how you've performed, you rip how you've interacted with someone else, how you're standing, how you're speaking, whether you've done something that looks authentic or not looking authentic.
Take 3 was better.
Well, that's the thing.
I know you've said this a lot.
There
was a better take.
I'm sure there was a better take there. I'm sure. I wouldn't have picked that take, but it's that. I obviously think something's happened in one take, but I don't know what it looks like, do I? No. So, you are at the mercy of someone saying yes, or you're at the mercy of someone, especially with an editor.
Because mental health is something that you've really tried to crack it in recent years, haven't you? You read a lot of these mental health books around.
Yeah.
So to get past some of this stuff, right, of feeling like, oh, I'm not worthy.
Yeah. And I think it really helped with Blurred Lines as well, watching, because obviously I was going through the material a huge amount, going for like ADR and stuff. So I had to watch it over and over and over. And initially, I couldn't help but just like rip everything to pieces. And then it got to a point where I had to just look past it and I had to look at other elements, which felt quite freeing, really. It was probably the first time ever that I've been able to do that. But yeah, I have the past few years, I think as well, getting older, I've not been going for as much stuff. I've not been putting myself forward for as much stuff. Probably because I've got a little bit sick of being in things and then feeling disappointed with them.
You said it was good to hear Johnny say, you know what, I'm fucking sick of it.
Yeah.
I know he didn't. No. Not verbatim, but
it is that. When I'm part of something now, I want to do it because I really want to do it, not just because I'm saying yes because I've got an opportunity. I want to feel like, no, I do actually really want to do this. There's a reason for me to do it. And I want to be proud of the stuff that I'm in because, like, life is short.
Yeah.
And you do end up giving yourself a huge amount of time to yourself. And when it comes to auditions and castings and going through stuff, I'm reading it. I'm just thinking, I don't know what this is adding to
the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I always think of that quote that Spielberg talked about where they said, what do you look for in a student film, a short film? And he's like, I'm looking, do they know how to tell a story, but do they have something to say? Do they have anything to add to the conversation? And like, if we think of cinema as an ongoing, I know your background in theatre, whatever, but the ongoing conversation of storytelling, does this person have anything to add to that conversation? Or is it just the cover band?
But that's why, when you first did your module at
you actually watched my module, didn't you?
Yeah, of course I did. It was great. I loved it. After that first I couldn't believe, I thought how these students could not be enthused. I wanted to get up and make a movie.
And you've never made a movie,
no,
right?
I've never made a movie. I made a little Lego thing with my son.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I've never made a movie, but I was like, I can do this. And I love that idea that, everyone, they always say, everyone's got a novel in them or everyone's got a story or a book or
everyone
something.
does, and do you know what was great with, I remember there was, I remember a tweet, and not to be saying you should be using tweets as evidence for anything, but it said, during COVID, I think it was about 10 months into it, it said, I think a lot of people have found out right now that they never wanted to write that novel they had in them.
Yeah, they didn't have that novel
they didn't.
All.
Well, no, they had it in them. They didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think, but yeah, one of the things with my module was, I do believe everyone has something in them. And do you know what? When I think of that module, when I was actually pitching that module, there was another lecturer who said in a meeting, and there was no reason for them to say this, they said, it broke my heart, to be honest, and I didn't argue, but I got a bit heightened. They said, the students don't know shit. They said, if you ask students to make personal films, you'll end up with 20, 30 films about COVID. And I thought, I don't believe that. And the first year I ran that module, do you know how many films we had about COVID? 1 out of 70. Because actually, COVID came and went, but the heartbreak, the things we feel inside our soul remain. So your feeling of, I don't know, I'm not worthy, my feelings of isolation and like being this torn child between parents who got divorced, that'll still remain at the start of COVID and at the end of COVID. And what it tells me is when you've got lecturers who are teaching film who think like that, they shouldn't be in them positions. They really shouldn't, because they see storytelling as a business. And as Del Toro said, and the thing is, it's like, people might say, well, you're not being very curious or questioning Mark by accepting Del Toro. I'll accept Del Toro over 99% of the motherfuckers who are writing things like Save the Cat and all these other screenwriting guru books, because Del Toro, that's a filmmaker who's coming from the heart. And anyone who's coming from the heart, I'm going, yes, I want to listen to what this person's got to say.